Gundam.tk presents Age-2 Normal. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert, 1D4, 2Rs2Bs, GundamReviews.net, and my look at the high-grade 1144th Age-2 continues. This is Asuma Asano's suit from the second generation of Gundam Age-2, and much like Camille's Zeta Gundam could transform, this one also does, so you've already seen the unbox and the parts and the actual mobile suit. So let's take a look at it in its Strider form. Love it or hate it, it's going to involve taking these main body parts apart and then transforming them each before reattaching them. That includes taking the legs off the old 00 hip assembly. So start with pulling this part of the chest all the way down, and that can bend after. You're also supposed to pop the shoulders out, although they don't seem to move out all that much. And then after you've done that, you can actually take the head and push that down, and you'll notice that that's going to displace the front part if you're not too careful. The head is actually pretty well hidden, and I wanted to just try something. If you reattach the waist, it's easier just to take this off when you're taking the legs off. But if you pop this down and bend it in, you can just see that that's going to slide right into the back, and then you can slide that forward and lock it into place, and so you don't have as much of a parts former as you'd think. For the hyperdods, you'll take this part out and you'll notice that there's this part here on the top which you're going to just flip around, and then you can go and put this part back in, and that's going to go all the way in then, which then allows you, this didn't want to move up before but now it does, and once you've done that and sealed that up, you can attach it onto the front. And don't I feel silly, because any speculation that I had about this attaching on the third wear or something into the chest, yeah, that has nothing to do with it. It's basically just to take the hyperdods and you can just plug that in nicely. It's actually going to be a nice fit. Slide these parts forward here, and then you're going to have the front of a Wave Rider. It's easy to get the legs into place, just do the double bend there and take this toe down 90 degrees, although it will want to go more, so keep an eye on that. You can detach this gray part from the action base, and then you just have to put the legs on. Make sure that you've got this peg down here at the bottom and not the top before this gets attached, just by sliding it there where the old 00 hip used to be. And finally for the arms, you just take this blue part up here, bend that down, bend this whole arm down, and then you can just rotate these back into place. You'll notice that this part is going to stay flush so that you can attach it back on, where you're just going to have this seal pretending that it's still up at the top. And you can also swap off this forearm part if you want to put the shield on either arm. And when you take the two arms and attach them on, it's actually sort of neat that the way the manipulators are going to fit back there and sort of be hidden as a part of the knee mount. And when it's all finished, I have to say that this Strider form is not looking bad in the realm of 1144th transformable Gundams. There's a couple good things about it. The waist parts that you flip forward, you wouldn't expect them to make a difference, but they do. Also, the fact that you've got those yellow parts there from the chest that are facing forward. You can also see a little bit of yellow back there on what looks like the engines. But I think that this chest part looks good. The hyperdods with those double blue parts look really good. The head is hidden better than you've seen on some Gundams. And one thing you are going to have to be a little bit careful of, though, is just to get all these lines, or these binders lined up carefully. And you can see that the hands are going to go back there and attach into the legs. The only problem is the hips are going to attach solidly, but these legs you can bend out and become asymmetrical. But overall, I have to say that this is not a terrible looking vehicle mode for a Gundam. And though it's an ugly bonus, but it is still a bonus that you can take these parts from the hips and actually attach them on here, so you're not going to get these lost. And remember that you've already got the extra manipulators able to be hidden underneath. The action base is working quite well. It's just flipped around 180 degrees from the way you'd attach it in mobile suit mode. And what I've done here is I've just pulled those binders out so that they're not going to be as sleek. They're going to be out a little bit more, which adds more to the dynamicism of this whole thing visually. But there's really a lot of white and blue. You don't really see a lot of the other Gundam colors, but still, it has really grown on me in terms of its visual appeal. And with the shot sort of underneath, you can see that this looks better than a lot of Gundams. It doesn't just look like a Gundam laying down on its belly. Well, at least not as bad as some other ones have in the past. And for a not very useful size comparison, here it is next to Fun Saiki from the high-grade Future Century line. You can see the length of the two here, And from above. And getting ready to duel before Master Asia puts an end to this nonsense. So what's your preference? Cool looking Wave Rider homage or a duck? So overall, I've got to say I'm actually pretty happy with this Strider form. It's not going to take very long to get it there once you follow the directions once. You've just got to bend the legs and flip the arm shoulders down. And after you've taken care of the chest, which doesn't take a lot of time in the Hyper Dodds, and put that in, it's going to look pretty good. It is very blue and white. You do see the Gundamness underneath. The head is hidden fairly well, and those binders certainly help bring it alive in terms of the dynamics, and I do like the old pointy nose there. Very similar, of course, to any fighter jet, and back to the old Zeta Gundam. So how about you? What do you think about this compared to some of the other high-grade transformable Gundams? I've never built the HGUC Zeta, so I don't know how that works in terms of a model. But I've got to say, I like the H2 already, and I like this Strider form, so that's just a plus. So stay tuned for the verdict, where I'll have my complete list of all the good and bad things that I can think of. It's a lot better than the Gafran and the Zetas transform, that's for sure. And I can't wait to see what the Age-3 is going to bring to the table as well. Anyway, everybody, Robert184, thanks for watching. See you next and final part. Yes, this is the horrible life of a parts former.